Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. What's up? This is Chief Kalanago. How is everybody doing? I'm gonna give you guys some time to tune into this live feed. Let me just make sure I'm good on Facebook in regards to audio, and I'm gonna make sure I'm good on YouTube as well. All right, we have some information to go through. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull that up while you guys tune in. Man, listen, NYC is getting cold now, boy. I think I might have to take a trip or something. Like for real, for real. It's getting cold out here. All right, so we good. All right, so what's going on, lineage? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is your brother, Chief Kalanago. We're about to drop some information. And first off, I definitely want to acknowledge the great spirit, universal intelligence, universal source, the great I am. I want to acknowledge my ancestors, thanking them for always guiding and protecting me, knowing that any weapons formed against me will not prosper. And anyone who tries to or conspire, but let's put it that way, conspire to hurt me intentionally, well, I personally do not forgive. And I'm asking the universe and my ancestors to deal with them in the most brutal way. All right, because I totally practice do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So I wish no one any ill will. So therefore, I will not accept that from anyone. Okay. So with that being said, we have a lot to go through. Well, not necessarily a whole lot, but kind of like bringing everything to like a 360. Okay. So as you could see the title of the lesson this evening, who are the Aborigines? So, okay, so we are going to put a closure to all of this. Okay, so all the information that I've given you, there could be no other ethnic group that could come and tell you, well, this is who you are, or this is not who you are. Okay, because you have enough information to refute anything that anybody bring to you. Like I said, I've given it to you from a historical perspective. I've given it to you from an archaeological perspective. I've given it to you from a geological perspective. I've given it to you from an ethnological perspective. I've also given it to you from a biblical perspective. So now we're just going to summarize everything. And I'm going to pretty much conclude that with the words of, well, I'm not going to conclude it, but I'm going to show you from the mouth of one of the senators, I think from Alabama, Scott Bisson or something like that, that he made a slip up, but it wasn't a slip up. All right, that was just his subconscious spewing out who we are. So after this lesson this evening, there, without a shadow of a doubt, you will know what to identify yourself as. A lot of people are asking me, Chief, well, what should we call ourselves? Well, we will deal with that this evening. Okay. So a sister sent me an excerpt from a book. So I got the book. Like I told y'all before, it's a book like literally over 800 pages. So I read a lot of it. And for the most part, it's a good book, good read. It does give a description of the Aborigines. So I'm going to go over that this evening. It talks about the dilemma of where did these people of the Americas come from? What's their origin? And a lot of people have, in different books, but of course, in that book in particular, it has a lot of different speculations, including, Asia Minor, also the lost tribes of Israel, of the 10 tribes of Israel, the Hebrews, so they're comparing us to a lot of those different groups. Okay. Now, with that being said, reading the book, it's still a dilemma, regardless of what they're saying, it is all speculation. They really can't pinpoint where the Aborigines came from. All right. But I know where we came from because I've done the extent, research on all that. You know what I'm saying? So I know our origin. I know our beginning. You know what I mean? But the reason why we have so much in common with these different groups, again, looking at it from a biblical perspective, everything came from the Americas. You see what I'm saying? So even when I showed you all the videos, I always say, everything I do there's always a madness behind it. Okay, so if you look at all my videos, even when I showed you Asia Minor, you could see those people, they still have that so-called black, skin. You see what I'm saying? So even if it were a story of, well, the people who peopled America came from the Bering Strait, it still wouldn't be the natives that you see today, because they are not the original people of Asia. You see what I'm saying? So either way, we're still looking at so-called black people that were the first inhabitants of this land. All right. But if you remember when I was talking about the curse of Canaan and we went into the Bible, all right, breaking down the genealogy of Noah and the sons, we look at the line or the lineage of Shem, okay, who went into Asia Minor. Okay. So once again, regardless of how you look at it, I want y'all to know this, and I'm going to say this right now, okay, for a fact, that if we are to look at it from a biblical perspective, we are the line of Shem. And what does that mean? It means that we are the God's seed, okay, from which the so-called Messiah came from, that bloodline, all right? And that's a fact, all right? You have to know why the Americas is so important, and they're not telling you the truth, okay? So you have to know this, all right? So let us go into this book and just do a little bit of reading. I'm not going to read the entire book. That book is also on our site, www.ipnan.org. By all means, you could go read the entire book. Okay. They also talk about Puritans coming into the Americas. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you who the Puritans and the Pilgrims were. All right. Not to get it confused with people that just came here on vacation, because that's the perception that they want you to believe. Okay. The Puritans and the Pilgrims, they were escaping religious persecution. All right. And once again, it will solidify everything I've been teaching you guys. So we will kind of deal with that a little later down in the lesson. All right. So I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. My day is going amazingly well. Like I said, New York is getting a little chilly right now. So I think I might take a trip and go to ATL for maybe a week or so, take a little break, and maybe, go to Tennessee. But the point is, I'm going to take a little break. All right. It's time to get a little warmth. You feel me? So let me go ahead and share the first part of this build. All right. I see we got a few people on here. All right. Sending positive energy to each and every one of y'all. Okay. So let's get into this. Let's go to the first. And all that stuff is on our website, like I said, okay? So the first document or page that you're seeing is from the book, all right? The book is called The American Indian, all right? And that book was published, I think, in 1818 in Chicago, all right? So that book is also on the site, but I'm not going to go read everything, because in the beginning, it's pretty much talking about trying to pinpoint the origin of the American Aborigines, all right? And, talking about whether it's Asia or whether it's the tribes of Israel or whether they came from Turkey, whatever the case may be. The bottom line is, even if they are making that assumption in this book as well, they're still giving a description of the American Aborigines. So we will not get confused when they talk about Asia. You're thinking about the pale Asians or the Mongolians that are here, trying to take our place. All right. So let's get into that. All right. Let us do a little bit of reading. As you know, I love to read. Reading is fun for the mental. Okay. That's what I like to do. That stimulates me. It stimulates my mind. Okay. So now this is chapter 12 of the book, The Physical Characteristics, Argument for the Race, Uniformity in the Physical Characteristics, Influenced by Climate and Surroundings, Cranial Structure, General Description, Complexion, Stature, Muscular Strength, Facial Outline, Eyes, Teeth, Beard, Indians, Shoshones, the hair of the North American Indian, etc., etc. Okay, hold on for a second. I'm not sure if, Facebook is trying to, play with me right now, but let me get back to this, okay? All righty. So here we go. The traveler who makes only a passing note of the physical characteristics of the American Indian, or the ethnologist who delights in theories more than facts concerning them, finds much on which to base his faith in the belief that these people are an entirely different species from any other people on earth. Now, let me just kind of point this out. And as you could see, that's also in the title of the video, okay? The American Aborigines should no longer be a mystery, all right? Because I have given you enough, and I'm certainly sure there are others, I'm certainly sure, I know there are others who are out there putting the information as well. So by now, okay, it should be certain without a doubt as to who the American Aborigines are, all right? But we have always been a mystery, all right? That's why, or the mystery, once again, if you look at the word mystery, okay, you could look at it and see my story in there. So our story, my story, your story, think of it in the first person, say my story. My story is actually not a mystery because it's my story. However, my story got lost in his story. Okay, I hope I'm not throwing you off. So I'm just letting you know it took a lot of time and work and studying to literally break down and decode a lot of information to find the truth. It's like a big puzzle, okay? And that was done intentionally. You feel me? So I just wanted to kind of point that out. However, deeply interesting and difficult the study is, the fact remains that the majority of the real students of ethnology ignore the theories that claim for humanity a specific clarification. Inquiry in this regard finds its most fertile field among the American Aborigines, a subject which attracted early attention, continuing down to the present day with unabated interest. Ethnologists of Europe especially appear to have been making this subject one of the diligent study and research down to recent date, an example of which is afforded in the fact that the minister from Mexico to Spain only a short time ago sent a request to friends in a city of Chicago for specimens of Indian anatomy to aid in the ethnological research concerning these people. Now, let me ask you a question. What ethnic group in the United States that's being studied the most? So-called black people. Now, let's read this again, okay? And I'm just showing you the correlation, all right, between what they call black people and the American Aborigines, aka the American Indians. The natives are not being studied like us because they're not the original people of the land, okay? We are the highest, literally the highest studied DNA or ethnic group in the world. Okay, we are even more studied than Africans, and that's a fact. You feel me? I'm going to read that one part again. Ethnologists of Europe especially appear to have been making this subject one of the diligent study and research down to recent time, an example of which is afforded in fact that the minister from Mexico to Spain only a short time ago sent a request to friends in the city of Chicago for specimens of Indian anatomy, okay, to aid in the ethnological research concerning this people, meaning the American Aborigines. All right, a strong phase in the argument for the race unity is that philosophers of the same school differ so widely in regard to the physical bearing of the natives of America, and in search of physical characteristics tread on such divergent lines back to the same source. All agree, however, in giving them an ancestral heritage of remote antiquity and greater uniformity in the physical man than the decomposing natives of the old world. That they exhibit a striking uniformity in physical characteristics might be said of any race until the observation overcomes the first impression. Now, like I said, that was a book in over 807 pages. People ask, well, Chief, how do you read so fast? I literally read this in literally about 4 days because I speed read. I read so much, my eyes is so sharp. I could scroll through 100 pages and see exactly what I want in a few minutes. All right, it's a skill that I developed. So I went through the entire book, and at some point, they are making reference to all the American Aborigines, including South America, Central America, and North America. And they're saying that all these Indians, they look alike, okay? And they have never seen anything like that on any continent where all the people look alike that way, all right? So I just wanted to kind of point that out. History proves that the American Indian, in his physical characteristics, has been decidedly influenced by climate and surroundings in like manner as noticed in the primitive people in the countries of the world. It is claimed, once again claimed, by some that the cranial structure of the American native is marked by a decided similarity throughout the entire tribes of the continent. Much importance is attached to the uniformity of the facial angle, which is said by ethnologists, to be at a mean of 75 degrees for the natives of America, whilst the mean of the European facial angle is 80. In both cases, a decided national uniformity exists. Perhaps, however, the influence of custom and condition would give marked results in this direction and prove nothing in the aid of the theory of non-unity of the human race. The controversy grows interesting when we reflect that our own ancestors were a muscular, thick-set, tangle-haired, fugitive-eyed, not to say bloody-handed people, and that we are of the present day are only a few centuries in advance of the primitive American Indian. At least that's what they're saying, right? A general description of the Indian tells us that the Aboriginal of America is tall. Now pay attention. All right. And tonight I'm going to once again solidify, okay, and put a stamp on what we should identify ourselves as, because as a people, all right, we have been struggling with identity for a very long time. It's not that we don't like who we are. It's not that we don't love who we are. The fact is our identity of who we are, it was taken away from us. All right. So in this lesson, all right, we're going to put back a stamp as to who we are and what we should identify ourselves. And I can't tell you who to identify yourself as, but I'm just letting you know, based on all my research, my studies, all right, and what gives us, okay, the right to this soil lawfully, spiritually, in every aspect of the word is right here. We are the American Aboriginals, okay? Just like how they have Australian Aborigines, we are the American Aboriginals. That term was taken away. Then we were called Indians, then colored, etc., and you know the rest. Okay, so with that being said, we are the American Aboriginals, and I will go to Scott Bisson, one of the senators of Oklahoma, who slipped up and called us that, and we'll read that document as well, just to solidify what I'm talking about. The United States pretty much made it null and void, okay, or unlawful to call us or use the term Aboriginal in the United States. But for those of you who don't know, it is still being used in Canada. Okay. All right. So let us make mention of that. So let's read this again. The general description of the Indian tells us that, here we go, the Aboriginal of America is tall. Okay. We are not natives. All right. In the sense of the word that are being used today. That's why I tell Native Americans, yes, you could keep that, because all it means is to be born. But we are the American Aboriginals. Okay, we are Aboriginal Americans. So the Aboriginal American is tall, straight of stature, and muscular, having coarse black hair, well-formed limbs, deep chest, broad or copper-colored complexion. But it didn't just start here. Okay, stop here. Head a little bit flat, prominent nose, okay, compressed lips, dark-eyed, and possessed of a great power of endurance. All right, that don't sound, no disrespect, that don't sound like Native Americans to me. But let's take it a little further. In regard to the complexion of the American Indian, Father Chalaver, which is a French trapper, because I told you guys about the French trappers, right, who came here and married indigenous women, okay, so that they could get into the fur trade, okay. The color of the savage does not prove a third species between the white and the black, okay. So he's saying The complexion of, they call the savages, or the color, it does not necessarily prove a different species between the white and the black. But however, he's saying that as some people have imagined, okay, they are very swarthy and of a dirty red, which appears more in Florida of Louisiana, which Louisiana is a part of. Okay. Once again, we have mentioned that. I know different people who bring information. All right. They have mentioned that as well. Florida was part of the Caribbean. Also Louisiana, Haiti, Cuba, all that was one landmass. That's why Louisiana, Haitians, they kind of have the same culture, because all that was one landmass. The world that we see today is not the world that it was in 1492 or even in the 1500s. Okay. Those lands were still connected and just literally divided by small streams. You feel me? Okay. So with land irrigation, they changed the composition of the land. But I'm going to read that again. The color of the savages does not prove a third. Well, let me start from the beginning. In regard to the complexion of the American Indian, Father Chalaver says the color of the savage does not prove a third species between the white and the black, as some people have imagined. They are very swarthy and of a dirty dark red, which appears more in Florida, of which was a part of Louisiana. But this is not their natural complexion. The frequent frictions they use give them this red, and it is surprising that they are not blacker, being continually exposed to the smoke in the winter and the great heat of the sun in the summer, and in all seasons to all the inclemencies of the air. Now, keyword we have to go look at. I'm going to stop reading here, all right? And we are going to look at that word, swarthy. This is the key word, all right? Keyword is swarthy. So I'm going to pull up the Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary, okay, which seems to be a credible dictionary. All right. It also gave the definition of American in there. So let me go pull up that word swarthy. Give me 1 second, and let me just go pull that up, and then I will come back to you guys here in 1 second. All right, and I will share that. All right, Google. Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary. All right, here we are. Let us pull up that word. Boom. All righty. So that we don't get it confused what a swarthy person looks like. Okay, because like I said, I'm tired of this natives trying to play us. You see what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing against nobody, but stop trying to play my people, man. You feel me? Stop. Because no matter how you come, I got too much information, okay, to dispute and debunk anything that y'all talking about. The most y'all could say is, oh, well, you're black, you're from Africa. And we know that's a bunch of BS. All right, so let me go ahead and share that. Because it was literally, okay, a script that was created and given, all right? And in every prehistoric book that we have gone into, they call the American Aborigines copper toned, okay, dirty red, okay, swarthy, okay, swarthy. Even Benjamin Franklin said it. All of America was swarthy, okay? All of America, not some of it. You feel me? And I've already shown that before. But if y'all want me to again, I will show it again, because like I said, we are literally putting everything and bringing it into a 360 in this lesson. All right, here we go. American Noah Webster's 20th dictionary, swarthy, the same dictionary that gave us the definition of American. Swarthy, being of what? A dark hue or dusky complexion, tawny. In warm climates, the complexion of men is universally swarthy or what? Or black. But once again, we know that nobody's black. So it's actually a dark brown. You feel me? So there we go again. And that book is another 1800 in the 1800s. So no matter how we look at it, anytime we go into anything that's prehistoric, okay, the stories that they are teaching us, they give you a complete, true description of the people that were in the Americas. Now it says the Moors, Spaniards, and Italians are more swarthy than the French. Okay, they're saying that the Moors are also swarthy people. So it's a global complexion. You feel me? Because I showed y'all the video again of Asia Minor. I showed you original people of Europe. That was a global complexion of original people. Okay, so that's what swarthy is, and not the people, the pale people that's calling themselves natives right now. Okay, just so y'all know, just to put a stamp on that. So let me stop sharing. So this book, like I said, is on the site. You could take your time and read everything. Now remember, in the first few chapters, they're going to be, talking about where these people came from, trying to figure out who they related to, comparing the languages. And they're saying that the closest, in terms of language, okay, linguists are saying that in terms of linguistics, that the language is closer to Hebrew, okay, which again solidifies the breakdown of me breaking down the Bible. And like I said, everything that I do, there's a madness to it, because I have to be able to prove everything that I talk about from every different angle. Okay, so if we're looking at it from a biblical perspective, we are the God's seed, which is the seed of Shem, from which the Messiah, okay, was supposed to come through. If you believe that story, again, how can I prove that? Because we were the last nation of people to come out of the wilderness, because we stayed true, okay, to from whence we came. Okay, while the other continents, they were building nations and buildings and all that stuff, we were still the children of the wilderness. That's more proof for you again. So no matter how you look at it, I could prove to you as to who we are. Okay, and that's facts. Another thing, another spiritual implication is because a lot of the different ethnic groups, all right, let me give you some more science, all right, because the other ethnic groups, for whatever reason, they parted from the ways of the Great Spirit, what we call the Most High, okay, they had to move, all right. So when they moved, that separation happened, and then that's when it was a spiritual thing first, and that's when the Americas separated from the rest of the world. That's why we became lost, so to speak, because we had to separate from them, from those people who wanted to party and drink and all the Sodom and Gomorrah and all that. We didn't want to partake in that, because once again, the line of Shem, if we're talking about from a biblical perspective, so we had to stay closer to what we were taught, or the practice or the culture, which was to be in the wilderness. Okay, so I'm just saying. All right, so let's go to the next one. The next one here, we are going to William Penn on the Lenape. Okay, let us go to William Penn. More information, and all that link is in the link below so you could do your own research and read the documents yourself. Okay, William Penn. All right. Now, of course, they have an image, that's why I tell people you got to learn to read, because what he's saying and the image that you're seeing, I don't know if they whitewashed the picture, but it's totally contradictory to what what we are reading. But let us read what he said. William Penn on the Lenape, Delaware Indians. The letter to the Committee of the Free Society of Traders, 1683. Okay, now all these descriptions we are giving you, all right, is in the 1600s, the 1700s, 1800s, 1500s of the complexion of who these people are. So let's read again from William Penn. All right, and I'm just to let y'all know, Pennsylvania was named after him. Okay, the natives I consider in their person, language, manners, religion, and government with my sense of their original. For their persons, they are generally tall, straight, well-built, and of singular proportion. They tread strong and clever, and mostly walk with a lofty chin, of complexion black, but by design, as the gypsies in England. They greased themselves with bear's fat, clarified, and using no defense against the sun or weather, their skins must needs be swarthy. Here we go, another person, complete different individual, stranger, in another whole era, telling you that these people were black. Okay? And what? By design. Okay? And he also said what? Swarthy. Now, how much more proof do we need? How much more proof do we need? What else do we need? But y'all want more? Let me give y'all more, because I've done that before. But you know, let's proceed. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this gentleman right here. Let me share my screen. And it was no accident. That was our ancestors. It was his conscience. Okay, that was in 2011. Okay, like I tell y'all, man, I got a lot of information. All right, for those of you who haven't seen this or heard about it, right? Alabama State Senator Scott Beason apologizes for calling black people Aborigines. How could you make a mistake like that? Then he said, well, you know, I saw the video. Well, you know, I don't know where it came from. I guess he just came from my mind. Yeah, that's our ancestors beating your conscience. Beating your conscience. I'm going to read that again. That was in September of 2011. Alabama Senator Scott Beason apologizes for calling black people Aborigines. That's why Malcolm X, when you learn the truth, what he said, you are the Aborigines, but you don't like being called the Aborigines. Now, Gardendale apologizes as a news conference at the Gardendale Civic Center for using the word Aborigine to describe the black people. Let's read a little bit of that, okay? Montgomery, Senator Scott Beason, our Gardendale, on Tuesday apologized for a comment he made referring to black people as Aborigines. Beason, in a press conference, said he was sorry for the remark, calling it both inappropriate and careless and unnecessary. But some senators said Beason's apology is inadequate and that he should step down as chairman of the powerful Senate Rules Committee. Now, the man spoke the truth. You feel me? Whether it was consciously done or it was subconsciously done, they wanted him to lose his seat because he said it. That's how corrupt this system is. That's how they want to keep us from our identity, family. You feel me? My purpose today is to say that I am very sorry and I apologize to anyone whose feelings were hurt by my comment. Beason said, reading from a statement at a press conference at the Gardendale Civic Center. As I have stated before, I don't know where that word came from or why it popped out my mouth, he said. Nevertheless, comments were careless and unnecessary, Beason said. Well, let me tell you something, Beason, okay? You knew where it came from. Even if you don't know where it came from, I knew where it came from because our ancestors was talking through you without you even knowing that, okay? Your mouth moved, okay, involuntarily because you didn't have a choice. You feel me? Okay? Oh, I know he was apologizing to the elite. I know. He was apologizing to his bosses. You feel me? But a lot of people didn't catch it. All right? The comment was caught on tape when Beason wore a wire for the FBI agents during an investigation into alleged state house corruption and vote buying. But Senate Democrats on Tuesday said Beason's apology was inadequate for the offense he caused and that he should step down as Rules Committee sets the debate agenda in Alabama. Hold on for 1 second. This is not good enough to me, said Senator Vivian Davis. Figures D. Mobile said of Benson's apology. that type of language should not be tolerated by any member of Alabama legislature. If he truly was a leader, the only thing he would have done and should have done is resign. So once again, my brothers and sisters, okay, they want us to stay dead. They want us to stay, in the realms of being governed by what? By a color. Ironically, let me tell y'all how the ancestors work, right? Oh, it just got off the screen. Look at the screen real quick. What does it say? Happy Black Friday. What does it say in the advertisement on the right side of the screen? It keep popping up. I keep telling y'all, man, I move in the spirit. Family, we are not black. What are the coincidences or the chances that a J.C. Penney ad comes up saying Happy Black Friday? Now, y'all tell me. I don't make these things up, man. I don't make it up. It's popping on the right side of the screen. What I'm here telling my people, we are not black. See what's popping on the screen in the advertisement section. I keep telling y'all, don't play with me, man. I know I'm not the one to play with. Okay. Beeson said Tuesday that he had not discussed his comments with minority members of the Senate, but would be happy if they wanted him to talk about it. The wire Beeson wore during the FBI investigation recorded him and two other Republicans joking about economic development in predominantly black Greene County and Green's Track Casino, which was one of the county's largest employers. That's why all Indians, former Republican Benjamin Lewis said they are Aborigines, but they are not Indians, replied Benson. Hold up. That's y'all Indians. Former Republican Benjamin Lewis said they are Aborigines, but they are not Indians, replied Benson. I'm not sure if y'all see what I'm reading here. Maybe my eyes is playing tricks on me. That's y'all Indians. Former Republican Benjamin Lewis said they are Aborigines, but they are not Indians. Now, I don't know if they're saying that the black people are not the Indians, they are the Aborigines. I don't know what they're saying, but I'm just letting y'all know. Okay. Indian is also a misnomer. All right. Regardless, some people may say, well, Aborigines, it's fine. But just like the Australian Aborigines, we are the American Aborigines. Okay. Senate Minority Leader Roger Bedford D. Roosevelt said that he was both sad and shocked by that in 2011 the Senate Republican leadership would condone Senator Scott Besson's racist comments. No, he's not being racist. The ancestors had him talking. Oh yeah. Okay, thank you for that, Chris. They're saying we are not the fake Indians. All right, no doubt. If he is sincere about apologizing, he ought to step down as chairman of the rules, and they ought to make him, Bedford said. Senate President Pro Tempore Del Mash R. Aniston said Republicans were giving Benson the benefit of the doubt following his apology at a caucus meeting last week and to Alabama citizens on Tuesday. We are not condoning his remarks in any way. He's apologized to the state, and I'm going to give him a chance to show that he's sincere in his statements of apology, March said. But anyway, you get the basis of what happened. Okay, so that happened in 2011. All right, our ancestors had this man speaking the truth. Like I told y'all before, every tongue will confess and every knee will bow, because they will not have a choice. Okay, because it's our time. All right, it's our time. I've been putting in that work for a very long time. Y'all better recognize that. Okay, let us go to the next. Of course, we have read this before, but we are going to get into it just a little bit and read just a little more, because just tying everything, once again, putting it into a 360, okay, from the biblical perspective, now from a geological perspective, a historical perspective, and we are going down the line. So now we know what we should, or whom we should identify ourselves as. So when you go to any job application, anywhere you have to fill anything out, if they have a box, even if they have American Indian, put a cross and create your own box. Let us not allow these people, let's not allow them any longer to put us in a box. Let us create our own box, and let's bring back, okay, that identity of American Aboriginals. Okay, let's bring it back, because we are the American Aborigines. So I'm going to read a little bit, okay, from New Light from the Great Pyramid. I've read that in its entirety in a video, but I'm just going to take an excerpt from that, okay, in lieu of what we are talking about here today in regards to today's lesson. Okay. And that book is also on the website, www.ipnan.org. All right. So we're going to read from just the bottom top part of the page on top, and then we're going to just read for a little bit until I get to my point. Okay. Study of the American constellations Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricornus reveals the immemorial antiquity of the name America and the significance of the arms of the United States. So once again, the name America is not new. It did not come from Vespucci like people think it did. That came from South America, from an indigenous Amerique. Okay. All right. So let's keep that in mind. Vespucci named himself after that name. He wasn't named after, America wasn't named after him. He took that name when he found that out. All right, just so y'all know. And for those who are actually into astrology and stuff like that, the constellations for America is Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. All right. Of the name America and the significance of the arms of the United States. The fact once recognized that it is impossible to separate the eagle from America, but the land shadowed with wings of Isaiah. Okay, once again, we are going back to biblical times, right? Over which accordingly appear two grand eagles, the red swan flying down the Milky Way. Okay, just once again, Africa is not the land of milk and honey. The America is, okay? And I'm not putting on Africans and the African continent. I'm just letting you know everything was told in reverse, okay? I love our brothers and sisters over there, but we got to tell our truth. You feel me? Isaiah, over which accordingly appears to the grand eagles, the red swan flying down the Milky Way, and the winged steeds, the Pegasus and the Equilius, all the winged known to astronomy, without taking the bear from Russia, the pursuers from Persia, and a flood of light is poured upon the history and mythology, and where heretofore much has been vague and inscrutable. Now we are able to at least to see men as trees walking. The map accompanying this work is arranged so that the reader may keep it continually before his eyes for the purpose of reference, as he is led through the examination of network of coincidences, which is accidental, would prove that chance is as artistical, methodical in the operations as law itself. When, following the course of the constellations, those irremovable and perpetually fastened upon America are reached, it will appear that while all that is sublime in the historic past centers upon Egypt, all that is sublime in the prehistoric past centers upon America, and as the curtain which has hitherto concealed the prehistoric connections between the peoples of ancient Egypt and of America, it is lifted, it will be seen that the people of the eagle on the Nile, being descended from the original people of the eagle on this continent, the twain are one, and that prehistoric America was the original Egypt of Eagle Land prior to the mighty dispersion in the days of Peleg. Okay, when the earth was nearly divided and the great globe itself was nearly rent asunder. Firstborn among the continents, says Agassiz, America has been falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the waters, hers the first shore washed by the ocean that enveloped all the earth beside. And while Europe was represented only by an island rising here and there above the sea, America already stretched in an unbroken line of land from Nova Scotia to the far west. That ancient America, as shall see, was inhabited by the grand race of men whose deathless traces have been left upon the surface of the globe among the stars of the sky. Okay? So don't let nobody fool you, man. You feel me? They always leave out the sisters, right? So I'm going to include our sisters. Let me read that again because I don't like leaving out the sisters. All right? So let me read that one last sentence again. That ancient America, as we shall see, was inhabited by the grand race of men and women whose deathless traces have been left upon the surface of the globe and among the stars of the sky. You tell me now if Henrietta Lacks, okay, if it now makes sense, because I gave y'all the video. Family, I know what I'm talking about. I don't just make these things up. Okay? All righty. That book is also on our site. All right. Let us go to the next one. Another book, Traditions of the Earliest Visits of Foreigners to North America. That's also on the site. I highlighted some information because when I read, I like to highlight, okay? Just in case people want to go through the book and just look at the highlighted section, do that. But I suggest, you do all your reading yourself, okay? You said that's that Camarillo fam. I've been doing that way before there was a Camarillo. I appreciate what he's doing. All right. And he's putting out great information and he's speaking the truth. But I've been doing that way, even before y'all heard of Dane. I've been doing that. I've been on this grind for a minute. So I'm not here to discredit anybody. That's why I tell people everything that you are doing, I respect everybody that's playing their part. This is not a competition. But Chief Kalinago been doing that when people was literally cursing me out, thought I was crazy. Okay? Just so y'all know. So I don't get my work from nobody. I do my own research. You feel me? I literally have almost 20 years of research, family. So let's keep that in mind. So I appreciate everybody for playing their part. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. This is not a competition. So get as much information from everybody as you can and put the puzzle together. That's what I support. So Camarillo, you're doing great work. I appreciate that. All right. And thank you for playing your part. So I'm bigging up everybody on here. It's not a competition. I will also not allow anybody to discredit me for what I've been doing when nobody was actually doing that on YouTube. You feel me? So, and that's facts. So let us read from the top of this section right here. All right. It has recently, however, been contended by some of the most eminent of geologists that North America was the first of the continents. In the Canadian Geological surveys, the earliest sedimentary rocks were found in the Laurentian Mountains. And as no older rocks have been found anywhere, America was pronounced the firstborn of the continents. And again, that's another book, all right, giving it from an geological, archaeological perspective, all right? And I've already read that, but we are going again, all right? Louis Agassiz, which we just quoted in the New Light from of the Pyramid, is speaking of America as the oldest of the continents, grew eloquent and expressed himself in the Geological Sketches, volume 1, page 1, and the paragraph 1 in the following language. Firstborn among the continents, though so much later in culture and civilization than some more recent birth. America, so far as her physical history is concerned, has been falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the waters. Hers the first shore washed by the ocean that enveloped all the earth beside. And while Europe was represented only by islands rising here and there above the sea, America already stretched an unknown, unbroken line of land from Nova Scotia to the far west. It was the belief of the wise Thomas Jefferson, who was the president of the United States. It was a belief of the wise Thomas Jefferson that America was the first seat of the human race and that the Eastern Hemisphere was peopled from the Western. A letter written by him to President Stiles of Yale College in 1786, while he represented the United States at the court of France, was published in the American Museum. That letter is still there, okay, for November 1787, page 492. From this letter, the following extract is taken, clearly stating Mr. Jefferson's belief that the first inhabitants of Asia, who so much resembled the American Aborigines, went from America to Asia instead of coming from Asia to America. Like I told y'all, I'm bringing everything back into 360. That's why I had to go into the Bible and break down the genealogy of Noah, if we were to look at it from that perspective. Okay, and once again, talking about the Asia Minor, we are talking about the line of Shem. Okay, they moved from the Americas into Asia. All right. And yeah, Chris, I'm just like you. If somebody send me some information, I don't discredit anybody. Okay, what I do is I do my own research, and if I could go more in detail, that's what I do. This is all about education. It's about knowledge. I'm not here to compete with anybody. That's why you don't see me bad talking people. Okay, I don't get on here wilding out on people. I don't even get into debates. Chief Kalinago is in his own lane. I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing my own research, and that's just where I'm at, because that's just my energy. You feel me? So that's pretty much what I do. But I don't discredit anybody for playing their part. I thank everybody every time for always doing what they're doing, because I cannot do it alone. And I've always said that. All right. Open quote. I return you my thanks for the communications relative to the Western country. When we reflect how long we have inhabited those parts of America which lie between the Allegheny and the ocean, that no monument has ever been found in them, which indicated the use of iron among its aboriginal inhabitants. That they were as far advanced in arts, at least as inhabitants of the other side of the Allegheny. A good degree of infidelity may be excused as the new discoveries which suppose regular fortifications of bricks work to have been in use among the Indians on the waters of the Ohio. Entrenchments of earth they might indeed make, but brick is more difficult. The art of making it may have preceded the use of iron, but it would suppose a greater degree of industry than men in the hunter state usually possess. I should like to know whether General Parsons himself for actual bricks among the remains of the fortifications. I suppose the settlement of our continent is of the most remote antiquity. The similitude between its inhabitants and those of eastern parts of Asia, again, which is Asia Minor, all right, render it probable that ours are descended from them, or they from us. The latter is my opinion, founded on this single fact. Among the red inhabitants of Asia, there are but a few languages radically different, but among our Indians, the number of languages is infinite, which are so radically different as to exhibit at a present no appearance of their having been derived from a common source. The time necessary for the generation for so many languages must be immense. Mr. Jefferson gave the best reason he could for his belief that the first inhabitants went from America to Asia instead of coming from Asia to America. Since his time, however, scientific research in its wonderful progress has developed other reasons for the truth of this theory. Scientists have exhumed in America the skeletons of past geological ages and the remains of dead human beings, which gave evidence as early existence here as any yet found outside of the Americas. All right. So we're not just talking about theories right now. We're not just talking about artifacts and and sediments of rocks. All right. We know that North America has probably some of the oldest, if not the oldest, but now we are talking about skeleton bones. All right. Now, had Mr. Jefferson lived to this time, he might have had been famous among the scientists whose investigations look solving the problem of the oldest continent and the first human beings on the globe. The Red Indians were the oldest inhabitants of America known to the white man, though there were here doubtless older beings who antedated them by many centuries and had many traditions as to their origin, but none sufficiently divested of a myth and absurdity to lead to the rational conclusion as to the first country inhabited by them or the beginning of its occupation. So once again, that's why I told y'all, all right, American Indian is cool, but the American Aborigines, okay, come before the American Indians, all right, just so y'all know. They had some vague traditions of a very long ago people who were the inhabitants of this country before them, but nothing sufficiently definite for reliable information as to the character or the time of these people, because we are timeless people, all right? Some tribes believed that their ancestors had sprung from the ground, which we did in this country, and that they had their descendants, have never lived in any other land. Others believed that their ancestors had come from a distant land, but they could give no intelligent account as to where that distant land might be or when they left it and came to this one. All right. The traditions of the Wiggerman throw no satisfactory light on the dark problem as to which of the continents was first. But basically, like I said, just wanted to give you some information on that. That's also on the website, all right, as well. So please do your own research, do your own reading, okay? Let's see what else do we have. Okay, give me 1 second here. So, what Antarctica, the road. All righty. So let's do a little bit of reading here. Yeah, hey, brother Chris, man, you see, I tell people like this, right? When people tell you who they are, you have to believe them, okay? And people will speak who they are. My energy is not about coming here and bad talking people or vibing on a low frequency. That's not me, fam. I tell people I'm vibrating in my Christ frequency every time, all day, okay? If I'm having not such an uplifting day, I don't come on here. So I sleep up and say anything, out of my character. You feel me? This is not a facade for me. This is my true nature. Okay, because I've spent years, and I was never like that anyway. My parents didn't raise me like that. You feel me? My parents didn't raise me like that. There was no cursing or profanity in our home. I grew up with both my parents, my mom and dad. All right. Granted, my mom was a Christian, and that's cool. But since at the age of 5, I knew there was something wrong with religion. So I was always rebellious into going to church. I would rather take a beating than not go to church. But anyway, that's another story. And again, growing up, nobody told us we were from Africa. All right. In school, they didn't teach us that. They taught us that we were Amerindians. Okay. American Indian with the word two words put together. They also told us we were West Indians. Okay. So I was never taught that. So I don't want people to think I just started doing that. No. Like when I started doing videos on YouTube telling our people we were American Indians or Amerindians, people thought I was crazy. Okay. They were laughing at me. And at that time, the people who are doing this now, they were nowhere around. So trust me, I'm a pioneer in this. All right. Because I grew up with it. Okay. So I just want that to be known. So that's why I'm giving everybody their respect. You feel me? Because everybody had to take their time to learn the information and grow. And we need a whole lot more people telling our truth. Okay. My platform could only reach so many people. So everybody who's doing it, I give them kudos. You feel me? And that's all. That's what it's about. I'm not here to compete with anybody. All right. So we're going to do a little more reading. Okay. And that link is also in the description of the videos. All right. An international team of researchers have found the strongest evidence yet that parts of North America and Antarctica were connected 1.1 billion years ago, along before the supercontinent Pangaea formed. All right. Even before Pangaea, there was another continent. All right. Which when it broke off, everything sprung from North America. All right. Again, validating everything that I'm talking about. Going back to the Bible as well. Okay, for those of you who think the Bible is the ultimate truth. So I'm giving it to you from every perspective, family. That's what I'm doing. All right. And let me tell you a little something about Antarctica. Antarctica, okay, was the place. That's why it's off limits right now. And we're going to do a little reading on Antarctica, but that's why it's off limits. Okay. Antarctica, we could say, may have been, which was part of America, North America, okay, the Garden of Eden. Because that was the most beautiful temperature, okay? The perfect world. You feel me? Not hot, not cold. They just messed everything up right now. But I promise you, it's going to go back to that. Because once we go through this awakening age and we go through the age of Aquarius and we get ready for the age of Capricorn, then we are going to create that heaven on earth again. You did? All right. Let us read. I can go to the Franklin Mountains in West Texas and stand next to what was once part of the coast of the land of Antarctica. All right, said Stacy Lowy, a geochemist Bakersfield, who led the study. That's so amazing. Now let me ask you a question: how can you go in Texas, right? All right, and literally, you heard what she said, and see and see parts of and stand right next to a part of Antarctica. And I'm talking about reputable geochemists that's saying those things. All right. Lowy and her colleagues discovered the rocks collected from both locations have the exact same composition of lead isotopes. Earlier analysis showed the rocks to be the exact same age and have the same chemical and geological properties. The work published online ahead of print in September issue of the journal Geology strengthens support for the for so-called sweat hypothesis, which posits that ancestral North America and East Antarctica were joined in an earlier supercontinent called Rodinia, like I told y'all before Pangaea. Okay, just to let y'all know. All right, approximately 1.5 billion years year old in North America, mid-continent rift system extends across the continent from the Great Lakes to Texas. Volcanic rocks associated with the rift, which appears to represent an aborted tectonic attempt to split the ancestral North America from the continent of Laurentia, are well exposed in the Keweenaw Peninsula of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, from which they take their name. The Keweenawan large igneous province. All right. So once again, all that information is in the link. Please go ahead and do your own reading. I'm just giving you things to connect. All right. To prove to you once again from every different aspect, every different ideology, every different, source, to bring everything into 360 to validate everything I've been teaching. All right. Let's go to another one. Let me share the screen. All right, we're going to do a little bit of reading on Rodinia. Evidence suggests supercontinent linked to North America and Antarctica. Another source, all right? another group of scientists saying that. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but because it might sound a little bit redundant, but I'm just giving you different sources. All right. Texas meet Antarctica. Scientists have found further evidence that North America and East Antarctica were linked 1.5 billion years ago, forming a supercontinent called Rodinia. It would have been existed before, more likely known supercontinent of Pangaea had formed. The report is based on theory that Earth's continents rest in tectonic plates that have shifted over time. Okay, so that document is there, or that, you know, that link is there. You could read that in its entirety. All right, just want to kind of give you that it's here. All right. All right. So, and all the information is here. So please go ahead and do your independent research. All right. We're just going through a few things. That's all we're doing right now. All right. Let me go to another one. So that when people come at you, you will have enough information to debunk what they are saying. Okay. I'm just giving you guys tools to put in your arsenal. Dance of the giant continents. Dance of the giant continents. Washington's earliest history. Earth of the distant past was a very different planet than the one we know today. If you could travel through time to arrive at the Earth of a billion years ago, you would have had time navigating. A strange giant continent and a single planetary ocean would replace the familiar continents and oceans of today's world. Yet, this is where the geologic history of Washington and Pacific Northwest began, on a giant continent of a billion years ago. Assembling the giant continent, Rodinia. About 1.2 billion years ago, fragments of continental crust pushed together by plate tectonic motion began to assemble a giant continent. Geologists affectionately use the term Rodinia, a Russian word meaning homeland for the giant continent of so long ago. Once again, may I reiterate, just to let y'all know, okay? So, I think it's Northeast Asia, but anyway, Asia Minor, okay? Parts of Russia, all right? Antarctica, all that was connected to North America. I just want y'all to know that, all right? We live in a completely different world. Though the exact size and configuration of Rodinia are unknown, rocks from ancestral North America, often called Laurentia, very likely formed the core of the gigantic continent. Okay, rocks from North America. The continent of Rodinia was the dominant landmass of the Earth for at least 350 million years. The configuration of the lands of Rodinia is a matter of considerable debate. The east coast of present North America was probably adjacent to western South America. The west coast of North America lay next to what is today Australia and Antarctica. There are several competing ideas for the distribution of land in the giant continent, and more will surely follow. Again, if you do some DNA test with the Pacific Islanders, Australians, and the American Aborigines, I promise you, you're gonna come up with a lot of markers that are alike. Anybody could go ahead and test me on that theory. All right. Life in a hostile world. Rodinia was a stark and hostile land throughout its history. Much of what would become Western North America was a vast floodplain accumulating thick sequences of sand and silt. Life by this time had barely progressed beyond single-celled algae, so the land was completely devoid of plants. Most of the landscape was probably a rusty red color. Once again, family, I'm not playing with y'all, man. Okay? The copper-colored races. All right. Y'all think this is a game. Okay. And you see what copper color people look like, right? Don't let it get confused because you hear red. I've already shown you what red clay looks like. It's copper toned. Okay? All right. At that early date in Earth history, the atmosphere contained less than 5% of the oxygen it now holds, and it lacked the protective ozone layer that today shields the Earth from intense ultraviolet radiation. The one great planetary ocean undoubtedly spawned violet storms over the expansive waters, which nothing could protect the landscape from the forces of water. Great floods were probably common on this continent. Within this stacked and hostile world, the first rocks of Washington formed within the ancient heartland of Rodinia more than 1 billion years ago. A distinctive group of very ancient sedimentary rocks accumulated in a giant basin over part of what is now Alberta, British Columbia, Montana, Idaho, and Washington between 700 million and 1.5 billion years ago. So for those of you that's buying into the notion that the Americas is the new world, y'all better start rethinking again, because they're not teaching that in school. Okay, what I'm teaching y'all right now. Geologists have named these rocks the Belt Supergroup after a small town in Montana. The Belt rocks are multicolored sandstone, siltstone, and limestone, noted for their beautiful preservation of sedimentary features such as mud cracks, ripple marks, and abundant stromatolites, cabbage-shaped fossils left by the action of cyanobacteria blue-green algae. In Washington, the Belt rocks are exposed extensively in the eastern Okanogan Highlands. The Belt group also makes up most of the spectacular mountains in Glacier National Park in Montana. The Belt rocks are remarkably thick. They accumulated to perhaps 50,000 feet near the Washington-Idaho line and thin eastward toward the central Montana. The rupture that split Rodinia abruptly truncated the basin in which the Belt sediments accumulated. The missing western margin of the Belt Basin is now thought to be part of either Australia or what? Asia. Once again, I keep telling y'all, all right? Just to let y'all know, let's read that again. The missing western margin of the Belt Basin is now thought to be what? Australia and or Asia. The breakup of Rodinia. The great supercontinent of Rodinia dominated the Earth for some 350 million years, a long time by any measure. But now even supercontinents last longer. In the end, Rodinia fell victim to the Earth's internal heat. A slow buildup of heat beneath Rodinia caused the Earth continent's crust to dome, stretch, and weaken. Eventually, the entire continent ruptured. The violent spreading centers developed underneath the continent and began to slowly tear Rodinia apart. One fine day, some 750 million years ago, the end of Rodinia began in what is now east central what? Washington. The giant continent began to rupture along a line now running roughly north to south. At just a couple of inches a year, it was a slow process, but over geologic time, the increments started to add up. In 10 million years, perhaps, the waters of the ocean flowed into the new Rift Valley. The original Rift Valley that split Rodinia was probably not unlike the modern rift between Saudi Arabia and Northeast Africa. As the first rift continued to grow, it eventually went on to form a vast ocean basin called the Panthalasic Ocean, a Greek word for all seas. The Panthalasic Ocean separated the Americas, Siberia, Scandinavia from Antarctica, Australia, and the rest of the Eastern Hemisphere. Once again, I keep telling y'all, they were all connected, all right? The new coastline of ancestral North America now ran through what is today Eastern Washington, not too far east of modern day Pullman, confirming the long-standing suspicion that Pullman was always a stone through from the end of the world. The early coast of the Pacific Northwest, 750 to 200 million years ago, as the Great Shift separated what is now East Washington from Antarctica, okay, Australia and what? Northern China, okay? It did so by pushing both halves of the supercontinent away from each other. So like I told y'all before, all right, Northern China, Australia, Antarctica, they were all part of North America with Russia in between. Why do you think these natives came up with this story? Oh, well, we came from the Bering Strait and all that. Huh? They know damn well they ain't come from no Bering Strait because they came here in the 1800s. So once again, I'm proving to you, let them prove, pardon me, let them prove that they are the mothers and fathers of mankind. I know I could prove it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here saying that, you know, the people who was here from time immemorial, they look exactly like us. That's not what I'm saying, because we have changed, okay? I mean, definitely we have changed, okay? But the point I'm making is those of us who were here, okay, we are the direct links to those people. And we have a whole lot more of our blood in us than people who went on the other side and mixed. That's the point that I'm making, all right? Because I don't want to sound crazy, all right? I got to keep it 100, okay? Now, as Rodinia split, the Panthalassic Ocean became ever wider. Undoubtedly, a mid-ocean spreading center lie along its axis, creating a new oceanic crust on the floor of the young ocean. A reconstruction of the supercontinent Rodinia 100 million years ago, after breaking apart. All right, and they're showing just like just a reconstruction what it might have looked like. Okay, so they're giving you that right there. Oh, guess what? They're showing a pan African ocean. All right, Panthalassic Ocean. All right, we have Australia, we have Antarctica. All right, we have China, Australia, North China, South China. Okay. We have Alaska, Laurentia. All right. Amazonia. We have Florida, West Africa, the Congo. All of that was literally, again, part of what's called North America. It showed it right here. Interesting. Note the position of Alaska and western margin of North America labeled Laurentia. The giant continent split along the eastern margin of what is today Washington State. The future Pacific Northwest was a tectonically quiet, passive continental margin. I mean, some of his words, boy, they got me biting my tongue. Along Rodinia's quiet margin, the broken edge of Rodinia through eastern Washington was a quiet, passive continental margin far removed from the violent tectonics with associate with the Pacific Northwest today. For 400 million years, the original coast of Washington would enjoy this tectonically quiescent setting. It would be a remarkable sight to see. You could stand near Pullman or Spokane and look west to see nothing but ocean. The Pacific Northwest, as we think of it today, had not begun to form. The early prospectors in the Okanogan Highlands could not have imagined that the land they explored was once the broken edge of the ancient giant continent. Early in this episode, between 600 70 and 600 million years ago, the region hosted a major episode of glaciation, the earliest known ice age. Most of this period, however, was a notably quiet one, accumulating the quartz-rich sandstone geologists have named the Gypsy and Addy formations and limestones of the Metallane Formation. In northeast Washington, these are economically important sources of raw materials. Why do you think Antarctica is off limits? An explosion of life. As the Pacific Northwest comfortably passed through the Paleozoic era, it witnessed a variable explosion of life. Of its shores, most of the major groups of animals first appear in the fossil record in the Cambrian period, some 540 million years ago. The first fish appeared in the Ordovician period, perhaps 500 million years ago. The first plants invaded the land of the Silurian period about 420 million years ago. The earliest amphibians showed up in the Devonian period, perhaps 370 million years ago, while the first true reptile arrived on the scene in the Carboniferous period about 320 million years ago. Rocks representing each of these time periods are presented in eastern Washington along the ancient marine shelf of Rudenia. So once again, all right, once again, as you could see, we are talking about plants, we are talking about rocks, we are talking about the earliest reptiles. North America. All right then. A new subduction zone somewhere around the Devonian period, some 370 million years ago. A major change occurred along the continental margin. The oceanic plate previously fixed to the continental margin plunged underneath the continent along a new subduction zone. This ended a 400 million year history as a passive continental margin along the coast in eastern Washington and British Columbia. That newly subducting plate gave rise to a volcanic arc which developed inland, intruding granite-type plutons into continental sediments, which had been accumulating for over 1 billion years. This volcanic arc appears to have lasted from about 350 to 280 million years ago. The supercontinent Pangaea. The continental fragments dispersed during the breakup of Rudenia slowly began to come back together during the latter half of the Paleozoic era. The intermittent episodes of the subduction along the west coast of North America during this time probably record the jostling amount of plates as they recognized. By the Permian period, 300 million years ago, the supercontinent cycle had come full circle. Once again, the continents came together to form a new supercontinent called Pangaea, okay? A Greek word meaning all lands. The assembly of the giant continent Pangaea probably caused large-scale climate disruption and a collapse of many terrestrial and oceanic ecosystems. In this new setting, much of North America reverted to what? Desert. Okay? In part, these changes may have contributed to a great mass extinction that occurred 245 million years ago at the end of the Permian period. Literally, 90% of all species of life went extinct. This was the largest extinction event in the history of life on Earth, and that happened in North America. Okay? Greater event than the extinction of the dinosaurs of over 665 million years ago. The ultimate cause of this great extinction remains a subject of considerable debate. A growing number of geochemists and paleontologists suspect that the Permian Triassic extinction followed a major impact by an asteroid that disrupted Earth's ecosystem 245 million years ago. Word, them giant trees, right? Pangea persisted over much of the Permian and Triassic periods, a span of some 100 million years ago. Over this period, the western shoreline curved through western Ohio. Sediments, mud, silt, sand, and calcium carbonate accumulated in thick layers beneath shallow seas along the continental shelf of eastern Washington. The construction of Pangea left much of present North America as a wide-swept desert. Coupled with the widespread extinction of life on both land and water, it presented a pretty bleak picture. Conditions improved miserably in Triassic period and left recovering to a significant degree. From the survivors of the Permian Triassic extinction, life gave rise to the first true dinosaurs and the earliest mammals. So once again, the first true dinosaurs and the earliest mammals were in North America. Once again, go tell that to your scholars telling us we're from Africa or we're from all different parts of the world. Family, don't believe the hype. Okay? It all came from the Americas. Facts over feelings. On the ancient supercontinent of Pangaea, things were finally starting to look better. All good things come to an end. This quiet and comfortable arrangement in the Pacific Northwest ended a little more than 200 million years ago as Pangaea began to break apart. The breakup of Pangaea. Like the predecessor, Rodinia, the giant continent of Pangaea would also fall victim to the Earth's internal heat. About 205 million years ago, Pangaea began to rupture to form the Atlantic Ocean. The breakup began as a rift between the modern Western and Eastern hemisphere. The rift evolved into spreading centers that literally pushed the two hemispheres apart. Right, and they're showing early Juristic 195 MA. MA stands for mega million, okay, or 1 million. All right. All right. So in the first during the time of Rodinia, you would see that Africa, you would see that China, you would see all those places were actually on the side of North America, closer to America. All right, but because now of the shift, all right, of the Atlantic Ocean, it's you see Africa is where it's at now. Okay, and they're showing a simulation of that in that diagram. Okay, Antarctica is still in the back of South America, and in the back of and Australia, they're still on, I would say, the northeast side of the Americas. Early stage in the breakup of Pangaea 195 million years ago, the Sachure began North and South America. Okay, early stage in the breakup of Pangaea 195 billion years ago. So you tell me, how could America be the new world? All right, the Sachure began between North and the Sachure between North and America, and Africa is just beginning to rupture, ultimately to open the Atlantic Ocean, not that much of the Pacific. All right, so it started separating Africa from America, and South America getting their little separations. All right, Northwest is a continental shelf under swallow water. Offshore, a subduction zone has formed along the margin of the Pacific Northwest. As North America was forced westward by the spreading of the Atlantic Ocean, Washington and the Pacific Northwest became a tectonically active continental margin. All right. With the breakup of Pangaea, North America was forced to drift westward at the same rate the Atlantic Ocean was spreading. This westward drift had an enormous effect on the Pacific Northwest, after being a quiet, passive continental margin for most of its history. The days of the quiescence were over. New tectonic activity began to affect the edge of the continent as floor of the Pacific Ocean basin floundered against the western continental margin. The breakup of Pangaea ushered Washington into a new era of geologic history. Active subduction zones, volcanic islands, and violent continental arcs characterize this new era. The next section, lands along the old coast, describes the evolution of Washington and the Pacific Northwest over the last 200 million years as Pangaea broke apart. Okay. All righty. So that was beautiful. Okay. Let's just do a little bit right now. We're gonna just do a little bit more reading on Antarctica. All right, here we go. What country is Antarctica in? All righty. Looks like, close that out. All right. Antarctica is a continent unto itself and is not a part of any country. Okay. But once, remember, it was part of North America. The Great White Continent is governed under a series of recognized guidelines. Let's read this carefully, and you'll see why they don't want people to go to Antarctica. Okay. Let's read this again. Antarctica is a continent unto itself and is not a part of any country. The Great White Continent is governed under a series of recognized guidelines and agreements called what? The Antarctic Treaty System. Why you got to have a treaty for Antarctica? But let's read, because reading is fundamental. All right. 12 countries signed the Antarctic Treaty in 1959, and the agreement currently has 54 signatures. Okay. But no country could own it. Why is that? Okay, there's a reason why. Although Antarctica has never had an indigenous population, okay, 7 nations have claimed parts of the continent. Okay, 7 nations have claimed parts of the continent: New Zealand, Australia, France, Norway, the United Kingdom, Chile, and Argentina. Some of these territories overlap. The United States, Russia, and Brazil all have permanent presence in Antarctica, but haven't currently claimed territory. Most of these 10 countries have established scientific research centers where around 4,000 people work and live in Antarctica over the summer, with numbers reducing to around 1,000 in the winter. The vast majority of the population are scientists. Some are operational staff like ship's crews and science workers. So how do you get to Antarctica? All right. Antarctica's closest access point is what? South America. Okay. It only takes 2 hours from South America to get to Antarctica. It's going to take you from New York. It's going to take you more time to get from New York to LA to Atlanta than Antarctica. All right. Let's try that for size. All right. Ushuaia in Argentina is a major thoroughfare for Antarctica expeditions. From here, you can visit the Antarctica Peninsula as well as the sub-Antarctic islands such as South Georgia and the Falkland Islands. Punta Arenas in Chile is another gateway for cruises to the Antarctic Peninsula. From here, travelers may take the flight to the South Shetland Islands to board their vessel, perfect for those looking to cruise in the Antarctic but avoid the Drake Passage. They're not talking about Drake in Canada, okay? Antarctica can be reached via Australia, like I told you, all right? All that was connected, all right? Because they were part of North America. And the South Island of New Zealand. Although this takes significantly longer than the journey from South America, and the route offers less in terms of wild encounters and shore landings. Most of it, not all, tourist expeditions Antarctica depart from what? South America. I think one day when all this is all said and done, all right, okay, with this whole pandemic stuff, I think we all should take a trip to Antarctica. All right. Don't be mad if I escape some way, somehow, and just disappear into the wild. Okay. They say it's cold, but trust me, it ain't that cold. Okay. Just so y'all know. All right. Oh, trust me, family. We know they play with these maps. We know that. We know they know. We know that. Okay. Because what? Let me tell y'all something. Okay. What is south is north, and what is north is south. Just so y'all know. So South America is actually North America. Okay. But you know what? Sometimes Chief Kalanago is probably just talking, right? But we're building right now. Okay. We're building. Okay. No visas are required to visit Antarctica, the Antarctic continent, or its offshore islands. However, you will need to have your passport with you on the ship, as part of authorities will inspect passports and departures, and also again at the end of your voyage. As most tours depart from Argentina, the majority of travelers will need to follow that country's visa rules. If travelers to the Falkland Islands, different entrance and visa rules may apply. Please speak to your booking agent for more information on obtaining visas for the Antarctic region. All right. And they have the tours. Okay. 11 days, 8,000 from best of Antarctica, 8,000, 11 days, 9,000 and change, 14 days, 11,000 and change. But you know what? Like I said, the amount of I'm bringing y'all. I'm gonna keep bringing y'all some amazing opportunities. So we'll have enough money to to pay for these excursions. Okay, it's all good. So money wouldn't be a problem. You feel me? All right then. Check this out. Journey to the Antarctic Circle, 14 days, 23 grand. All right. Antarctica South. Why do you think it's so expensive? Huh? Georgia Falkland, 14,000. You have 17,000. All right. That's a lot of bread for a vacation for 14 days, 21 days, almost 30 grand. All right. Just wanted to kind of share some information, man, with y'all, bringing everything into full circle. All right. That's what we are doing. The final thing I'm going to show you is because when you go read the book on the site, okay, the American Indian, okay, the one I read from earlier that gave the description that the people were swarthy, all right, they will talk about Puritans and all that. But talking about Puritans, okay, from the perspective of them coming here, as, invaders, okay, and you will hear about Puritans thinking that, what I'm saying, they were the ones who came here to invade or enslave, you see what I'm saying, or colonize our people. No, it wasn't them. They were still being governed under the Black Britain kings. All right. So like I said, family, you have to read with understanding, and you have to have the knowledge of everything to connect the pieces together. Because when you read certain books, you will hear about Pilgrims and Puritans thinking that they were the enslavers because they were so-called white. All right. But no, they were not. They were servants and slaves. All right. But let us read a little bit as to the Pilgrims and the Puritans that came to America, and you will know the foundation of whence they came. Okay. Because when you're reading, if you don't know the history, then it will throw you off. All right. It definitely will throw you off. Okay. So let us read a little bit about the Pilgrims and the Puritans came to America. That's why that's why I tell y'all, okay, we have to come together. All right. That's why I'm putting in all this work, because I want to give you so much information that nobody could refute anything that we talk about. So when we step up, we have all the information. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's speaking the same language. Everybody's on the same mindset. You feel me? Because as the American Aboriginals, we gotta step up. We gotta step up. All right. And I'm setting that foundation. You feel me? All right. I already have the domain names ready and everything. Okay. I already have all that set up because I'm proactive, not reactive. All right. So the Pilgrims and Puritans come to America. As you read previously, colonists came to America for many reasons. All right. They came to explore, to make money, to spread and practice their religion freely, and to live on the land of their own. All right. Because where they were, It wasn't their land. They were being governed by black kings, okay? The Pilgrims and the Puritans came to America to practice what? Religious freedom. Okay, religious freedom. All right? In the 1500s, England broke away from the Roman Catholic Church and created a new church called the Church of England. Everyone in England had to belong to the church, all right? That was the rule. They had to belong to the Church of the King, okay? At that time, remember, those people in Europe and Rome, in London, they were black kings and nobles. The Pope, all that stuff was black, okay? And I'm saying so-called black, all right? There was a group of people called separatists that wanted to separate from the Church of England. The separatists, under the leadership of William Bradford, decided to leave England and start a settlement of their own, so that they could practice their religion freely. Bradford went to the Virginia Company, all right, and asked them for permission to establish a new colony in Virginia, all right? Now, this gentleman may have been a partner, but definitely they had to bring servants, okay? So the Virginia Company agreed. So the Pilgrims set sail on the Mayflower in September of 1620 towards Virginia. Because I'm telling y'all, okay, in the Americas, we hadn't seen the likes of white people, so-called white people, before the 1500s. Okay? I'm telling y'all. Yes, we had copper-colored people from the red bone to the most darkest brown. Yes, we had that. Okay? But this type of people you see right there with the pale skin, even the ones they call natives, they wasn't around in the 1500s. Don't let nobody fool you. Don't let nobody fool you. No. We had light-skinned people, okay? But you could tell they were still so-called black people. All right? Let's put all this in perspective. All right? The Pilgrims had a long and difficult journey across the Atlantic Ocean. A storm blew them off course, so instead of landing in Virginia, they landed further north in Cape Cod. The Pilgrims decided to settle in this area and called it Plymouth. That's why I care who said it, Malcolm X. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. That was clues, family. Oh, we are the Aborigines, but you don't like being called the Aborigines? Let me tell y'all something. When he woke up, he was becoming very dangerous. All right? Just so y'all know. Let us read some more. There was a problem with them staying. There was no form of government to follow. The Virginia Company had given the Pilgrims a charter to settle in Virginia. The charter was not valid for Plymouth. The men aboard the Mayflower decided that they would write a plan of a government for their colony. The plan of government became known as the Mayflower Compact. All right. The men agreed to consult each other about the laws of the colony, and they promised to work together to make the colony succeed. All the men signed a document. Women were not allowed to participate. Okay. So once again, I'm going to break some more things down for y'all. You feel me? Going back to the civil rights movement. All right. It wasn't about us here in the Americas. It was about the Pilgrims, the Puritans, and those people that came here as servants and slaves. Okay. But because so-called black people, the Negroes, the Aboriginals of America, so-called black people, okay, because we wanted to be a part of that society. Why? Because that life, okay, just seemed like it was the better life because of all the pressures they were putting on us. Same thing today, okay? Same thing today. You feel me? They will give you the highlights of the gleam and the glam so you could want to be part of that society. You feel me? It's the same thing happened with the civil rights, okay? Same thing happened. But key words here. Let's read this again. The men agreed to consult each other about laws of the colony and what they promised to what? Work together. Something a lot of us don't want to do because it's too many egos. Too many people want to be Indians. Too many people want to be chiefs and nobody want to be an Indian. And that's the problem with us. That's why it's taking us so long because we don't want to come together. Okay? Just so y'all know. Let's read a little bit more about these Pilgrims and the Puritans, all right? The plan of the government became known as the Mayflower Compact. The men agreed to consult each other about the laws of the colony, and they promised to work together to make the colony succeed. All the men signed the document. Women were not allowed to participate because that was their culture. Same thing in the Bible. The women had to shut the hell up, okay? That wasn't part of our culture, okay? It wasn't part of our culture because we definitely respected our matriarchs, all right? We definitely respected them. The Pilgrims finally stepped foot on land in November of 1620. This was not the best time to establish a colony. It was very difficult for the Pilgrims to find food and shelter in the middle of winter. By the time spring arrived, half of the colonists had died. Okay, when spring arrived, the Pilgrims set out to plant crops and build their colony. The Pilgrims were told how to plant corn and other crops and how to trap animals for food and clothing by Somerset and Squanto. Okay, those are American Indians, Aboriginals. They taught them. Okay, by fall, the colony was saved, and to celebrate their success, they celebrated the first Thanksgiving. So now that is the root of Thanksgiving for those of you who don't know. Okay, Thanksgiving had nothing to do with us. Okay, that was them thanking us for teaching them how to cook and eat to save their lives. And that was the meaning, the true meaning of Thanksgiving. So what y'all giving thanks for? What y'all know about that? They should be thanking us. You see, when the people are lost, you see, when people are lost, they don't know. You will not get the respect. But I'm not mad at my people. You know why? Because it's the educational system. Okay? We took our children and put it in their schools, and we continue to still do it, even if we know better. But they say, when you know better, you do better. But Chief Kalinago say, nah, when you know better, you're supposed to do better because people know better and they don't. You feel me? So we need to put ourselves back in position so that we could be respected and finally get the thanks that we deserve for saving these people from their brutal kings in England and also in certain parts of Europe. Okay? Because they know. Why you think there's no such thing as white history? I got to keep telling y'all that. Okay? Because you don't have to dig too far to learn the truth. All you have to do is do a little bit of digging, man. You feel me? Let's read a little more. In 1630, another group left England in search of what? Again, religious freedom. Because they were being persecuted in England by King James, who was a so-called black man. But they wouldn't tell you that, though. They wouldn't tell you that. All right? This group was called the Puritans. So the Pilgrims came first and then the Puritans, okay? Even the Kennedys, okay, who's a symbol of so-called American, they were Puritans. You feel me? Y'all love them so much, but don't love your own people, okay? Don't even realize you were the one who saved them. Why do you think they love so-called black people? Well, it appears that way, okay? Why do you think so? Because they know so-called black people were the Indians that saved these Puritans and these what? These Pilgrims. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Ted Kennedy when I went to when I was traveling, teaching our people, and I went to Chicago. I think it was Chicago or somewhere where I saw him and I did an interview with him. Okay, he knew the deal. He knew the deal. Because he saw the feathers and gave it respect. All right. Now, the Puritans wanted to leave the Church of England to become pure by getting rid of Catholic practices. All right. The Puritans did not want to separate entirely from the Church of England. They wanted to make reforms or changes. King Charles I, I would threaten the Puritans with harsh punishment if they did not obey the Church of England. And I said King James, guys, pardon me. At that time, King James didn't come later until the 1600s. So that was King Charles I. So I do apologize about giving the wrong king. All right. It was King Charles I. Okay. But hear this. He would threaten the Puritans with harsh punishment if they did not obey the Church of England. Therefore, they sought freedom in America. Okay? The Puritans received a charter from, but yet still, they didn't just come because, oh, well, the king said, hey, you know what? We're just going to let you go, because now they came here to work, family. Okay? They came here to work. Y'all want to get away from this? Y'all got to work. That's the contract. The Puritans received a charter from the Massachusetts Bay Company to settle land in New England. John Winthrop led approximately 1,000 Puritans to America and established the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The colonists wanted to base the colony on the laws of God. They believed that God would protect them if they obeyed his laws. Winthrop wanted to make this colony a model for all colonies to follow. Like the other colonies, the Massachusetts Bay Colony established a government. All men who were church members were able to vote for the governor and representatives to the general court. The general court would then make laws for the good of the colony. Okay? This is something that we as Aboriginals, we are supposed to be doing. But once again, like I said, I could only preach about it. I cannot force people to join me. That's it. All right? Roanoke Island, Jamestown, Plymouth, and Massachusetts Bay Colony were the earliest of the English settlements. They paved the way for the future colonies to develop. Will it be an easy task? Well, the colonists continue to live under English rule until only time will tell. All right, and then of course they have that's for a school, you know, and directions. You have used the Pilgrims and Puritans came to America story. Why did the Pilgrims come? So that was for a school project that they were teaching children. Okay, so that's how I got that document, just so you know. All right, and then they have the Pilgrims and Puritans review. All right, for the children to answer. Okay, so this concludes my lesson for this evening. Okay, I think we did decent time, you know, under 2 hours. Okay, I could get some rest. Let me tell y'all something. When I was done with the live last night, I took a quick break for an hour and I read until about 6:30 a.m. Y'all just don't know the work and time I'm putting in for you guys, man. Y'all just don't know, but it's all good. You know what I mean? I love doing what I do, so I'm going to keep on doing it. All right. So guys, I want to thank y'all once again. To summarize, I just had to kind of like put everything in this video, pretty much of all the different, you know, forms of research, putting all the documents together, and finally, you know, making the declaration that we are the American Aborigines. And personally, I think that's what we should identify as, and we should come together under the banner of American Aborigines and step up that way. So me personally, if I have to go anywhere and sign any type of document and they have all, what are you, who are you, you know what I'm saying? For one, I'm not going to put American Indian. I'm going to cross all the boxes off. I'm going to put American Aborigines. I'm going to create, because you see, you have to speak it. And then when you speak it, you put it into words. You write it. Okay, you write. Okay, for those of you, let me give y'all a couple of words, spell words. Okay, a right. What's a rite of passage? When you write, okay, think about what I'm saying. When you write, it's also called part of a rite of passage. Why do you think the words sound the same? In rituals, when you do rituals to go to the next level, you have to do a rite of passage. So that's why you have to write things down. So you have to be careful of the things that you write, because it's a passage to another realm. You see what I'm saying? So I'm definitely, you know, going to write it down. Okay, which is a ritual, right? Okay, write it down so that it becomes flesh. Okay, so it becomes real. All right, so I'm going to do that. Another thing is, all right, on any application that I see, that's me personally, if I have to fill anything out. Now, if it's online, I don't have a choice, then, you know, it is what it is, right? But most times I like to get the paper application. You feel me? So if they have male, I cross out male and I put man. I'm not a male. Okay, I'm not an animal. You see, it's just so many things people don't know. All right. And people wonder why you are being treated that way, because you're putting yourself voluntarily, okay, in a position of a devolved being. Okay. So male is associated with a male animal, but I'm a man. So for me, I like to put man. Even when I'm doing legal documents, all right, I present myself as a man first. Okay. And then I put my nationality or my identity, okay, in terms of who I am, okay, in terms of race, I put that next. But I always am man first. Always. You feel me? Always. Because a man has the highest authority, not a male, but a man. A woman has the highest authority, not a female, but a woman. Just so y'all know. All right. So that's why it's imperative. I'm just saying, like, it's an absolute necessity that we come together and we have to create our own systems. We have to. Okay. I mean, we have no choice, or else we will not stand a chance. Okay. And as the Aborigines of this land, I promise you, we will succeed. Okay. Because the land will fight for us. Why? Because we belong to the land. It is really that simple. The spirit of our ancestors will be evoked. I promise you that. Okay. So let me go through the chat. As far as what I could see here, and just give a few people some shout out, and thank you guys for being on this build. And y'all absolutely welcome, man. You know what I mean? That's what we're supposed to do, each one teach one. And once again, for all those that's out there, spreading the truth, playing your part, I thank you. Just so many, too numerous to mention, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of people out here playing their part, and I'm thankful for that. You did? Thankful for that. All right, no doubt. So let me just go ahead and give a few shout outs. Okay, now this is the site. Okay, please go to the site www.ipnan.org, and family, please support, man. Please support. Like, y'all just don't know what it feels like I said, to stay up all night, all day reading to do this. Okay, so I do have a life outside of that, meaning that I got to take care of things as well. But I feel like this, to me, it is of the utmost importance, because the information has to be put out there. So I want to stay committed to that and keep pushing so that I don't get distracted. You know what I mean? So just, support, man. Show some love. All right. The laws of reciprocation. All right. So let me just do that. I shouldn't have to be asking you guys. I don't like to ask, honestly. I really don't. All right. That's just something that you should just do naturally, because that's our nature. You feel me? It's really, and so, again, do your thing. All right. So that's the website. All right. So I want to shout out, Malka once again. She said, greeting everyone. You know what I mean? We have Zazie. Peace, love, and bliss. We don't say blessed. We are not be less, so we say bliss, or we say highly favored. All right, because I'm not be less, I'm not blessed, I'm highly favored. All right, we have Corey. All right, just giving you a shout out as well, family. All right, giving a shout out to all the lineage. And Antonoise Maxwell, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I do apologize. Okay, who else do we have? We have Jay Bander. All right, just giving everybody a little shout out, man. Appreciate you guys. Let me put you up in the lights. All right, the shining lights. All right, brother Chris. You know what I mean? Thank you again for playing your part. To Maria, thank you. All right, sending love right back to each and every one of y'all. All right, who else we got? We have a Shanit Hines. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but Sister Hines, thank you for being here. All right, brother Terrence, once again, I appreciate you being here. And that's right, Aborigine, baby. All right, that's what's up. You got it right there in the title. Okay. So we have Tete, want to show some love. And you said that's from Camario family. I've been doing that way before Camario. So like I said, I appreciate Brother Camario for what he do, and I want him to continue doing what he's doing. But I've been doing that for a very, very long time. So sometimes when people share the same information, it doesn't mean that they got it from that person. And even if they did, it's okay. It's all right. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. One of the greatest forms of flattery is for somebody to imitate you. So if somebody send me something of him or anybody else, I'll do some extra research and expound on it. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that others do the same with me. You feel me? This is not about ego. This is not about competition. You know what I mean? So I do my own thing. To be quite frank with you, I don't even go on other people's channel and look at anything. I don't, because I like to do my own research. I'm just built that way. All right. I'm an Aries, March 23rd. I'm the head of the house. You feel me? So with that being said, I'm a natural leader. So I don't depend on anybody to do anything for me. Okay, so if a lot of the information we may share it is not because it's from him or anybody else. It's just that I happen to come across it. So keep that in mind. So I'm not taking anything away from the brother. I want him to keep doing his thing. All right. And I'm just going to leave it as that, because I don't hate on anybody. I don't have that bone in my nature. All right. And who else do we have? All right. We have Brittany. She said, I saw a white woman driving a Tahoe with license plate that stated Cherokee Nation, blonde hair, blue eye, Indian. I knew better. I smiled at her while she drove away. Well, the truth of the matter is, a lot of them are Cherokee by nation. Okay, by nation, due to the Dawes Rolls. So they're not telling a lie, but it was a made-up organization by the federal government. Okay, and some of them do have our blood mixed in them. You see what I'm saying? So we have to keep that in mind as well. But I know exactly what you're talking about, Sister Brittany. I know what you're talking about. All right, I know what you're talking about. Okay. Then we have Indigenous Bobby Long. All right, they called $5 Indians. Okay, yes, there are a lot of $5 Indians that became part of the Dawes Rolls. All right, we spoke about that already. All right, we have Big Chief. What it do? What it do? What it do, brother? All right, giving Big Chief a shout out. All right, who else do we have? I think we gave Colleen a shout out already, but I see Colleen dropping, the bag when I spoke about, that vacation in or that excursion in a better wonderful word for going to Antarctica. All right, we have to have that bag. You feel me? Because I'm talking about 14 days, almost 30 grand. Okay, but there's enough opportunities out there. Like I said, I'm going to be bringing to you guys so that money wouldn't be an issue. Okay, we'll be just fine. Okay, then we have Gloria Browning. All right, history tells truth. All right, absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. All right, who else do we have? 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 Okay. We have Avia. All right. Sending some love out there as well to you. All right. Brother Paro, what it do? And family, everybody that I'm highlighting, man, if they have a channel, go support them, subscribe. This is not about ego, man. This is about supporting each other. We got to stop competing with each other, man. We got to stop doing that. Okay, stop looking at each and every one of us as a threat. You know what I mean? That's why we are so stagnated, because every time a brother or sister make a move, somebody watching them. Oh, well, nah, man, listen, it's a big world out there. We live in a world of abundance, family. That's what we created. A world of abundance. So we don't have to compete. There's enough of the pie for every individual. Okay? And that's just facts. So let us stop competing against each other. You feel me? All right. So we have Brother Amaru. What it is. All right. Sending much love out there. Who else do we have? Okay. Daughter of the universe. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And like I tell my peoples, right? I'm not here stressing nobody to support. That's not me. Okay. I'm not doing that because I don't know your financial situation. And sometimes you might need it more than me. So don't put yourself under any type of financial strain. I do what I do because I do it for the love. I do what I do because that's my calling. I do what I do because that's my purpose. I'm serving my purpose, and that brings me joy. You feel what I'm saying? So just know that. But in the meantime, while I'm doing what I'm doing, and I have to read a book, 600 pages, and read that in a day or two to bring the information to you, that means that, what if I had to go do a job? I had to go do some construction, you know, with my boy, like about what, a couple days. I didn't go because I had to read the book, and I put that money over. I put what I'm doing here over that money I was going to make on the construction site, because that's what brings me joy. It makes me happy to bring that information to you. So all I'm just saying is, like, the laws of reciprocation, just go to the site sometimes and just show some love. But it's not something I'm out here asking people to do. All right. That's not an obligation to you. All right. My obligation is mine and yours is yours. You do what you got to do. I'm always going to come and bring the videos to you. I'm never going to stop, regardless of what. All right. So I just want to make that clear. But for those of you who show the love, thank you so much. It means a lot. All right. Who else do we have? Yes, indeed, about the Aries. Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right. All right. So we good. We good. We good. Okay. All right. So I think I gave everybody a shout out. Everybody that I could see here. Yes, our story is vast. You know why? Because our story never had a beginning. You feel me? Our story never had a beginning. That's why we are the most studied. And that's facts. Because our story never had a beginning. Because why? We were the beginning, or we are the beginning. You see? So we have to keep that in mind. All right? So they will not tell us that, but we are the most studied species on this earth. All right? In terms of ethnic groups. Because it's still a puzzle to a lot of people where we came from. But different, you know, different people, different groups, different scholars put information together, and you just have to be able to piece it together. That's why, you know, I'm just thankful and honored I'm able to come with all this information, you know what I mean? And so we could start putting the pieces together. But, all right, let it rest. Let's rest assured and let it be known that we are the American Aborigines, without a doubt. Okay? So I would say it's safe to say, when, you know, you teach your children, let them start professing that. Let's start putting that stamp out there in the universe. All right. Let's start changing the paradigm, okay, of the energy on our land. I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference. You'll be surprised when we start stepping into our true form. Okay. You will be surprised and see things change. Okay. Because don't you realize when we started calling ourselves American Indians, more people was talking about that. Celebrities start stepping up. Oh, I'm not black, I'm American Indian. I promise you, let's start talking about who we truly are, the Aborigines, and see what's going to happen. All right. See if you're not going to see some celebrities stepping from away from American Indian to calling us who we truly are, which are the American Aborigines. Okay. Because American Indian can be refuted, because that's a term where other people came in and blend in and call themselves American Indians as well. But not everybody could call themselves an American Aborigine. And that's the difference. Okay. But American Indian could still fly. All right. But we got to put a stamp on American Aborigines. All right. Because the truth of the matter is, like I told y'all before, that term, okay, or that identity is being used in Canada. The United States make sure they took it away from all literature. That's why I had to go into prehistoric books and these things. Okay. But they took it away from all teachings, even what was called Aboriginal title. They took that away. Okay. So it was only, and that was, but it's still being used in Canada today. All right. So we got to know what that means. Now, let me see if I could pull up one more thing before I go. Hopefully I could get it. Give me 1 second. All right, so let me just show you real quick what Aboriginal title is, okay? And that's why again, may I reiterate, it's imperative why we step back into our proper identity as the Aborigines, okay? So let me just show you what an Aboriginal title, the meaning of that, okay? Real quick. And that would be the last piece of information I'll show you for this build, okay? Here we are. but they're only making reference to that in Canada right now. Like only Canada got aboriginals, right? I tell you, man, only in Canada. Okay, forget South America, forget all the other countries in North America. Let's just say only in Canada they had aboriginals. All right, but let us rock. Aboriginal title, okay, pronounced
aboriginal title.
Okay, meaning noun, the right of indigenous peoples to own their traditional lands and waters as recognized by what? Common law. Okay, by common law, meaning that common law is the law of the people. Okay, not by statutes and codes. No, common law. All right. So just wanted to kind of point that out. Not kind of, I just pointed it out so y'all could know what Aboriginal title is. The right of indigenous peoples to own their traditional lands, waters, as recognized by common law. Okay. Yep, Malcolm X did say that, and I like to put like I said, I like to put everything out and write, so I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna put it in there because that's what I do. I like to write things, so that's me putting that out there. So I just put it out there. So if whoever want to type it out and declare that, that's on you. But I just did that, okay? And also I have this in front of my computer, and I'm gonna read it to you guys, to you, okay? Because again, my rite of passage, you always have to claim that, okay? So on a piece of paper, I wrote, and I read that every single day, okay, when I rise, okay? I am great. I am powerful. I am loved. I am physically wealthy. I am protected. Weapons formed against me will never prosper. I am a billionaire. I am wisdom. I am intelligence. I have the fountain of youth. My ancestors walk with me in righteousness. I am loving. I am compassionate. The universe provides all my needs. All right. So every day when I rise, that's what I say. Okay. And that's it. So I just wanted to share that with you. All righty. Letting you know that you could literally change, everything about you and your existence by the words that you speak. All right, because the words that you speak becomes your reality. First, it starts from the thought, okay, manifest into words, manifest into action. Your actions become your reality. It is really that simple. It's not complicated. All right, we could change our position, our situation overnight. Okay, if we just adhere to this very, very, very simple set of universal laws. Okay, it's really that simple. All right, so be it. There you go. All right, so y'all have a great continuation, and the next probably the next live I'm gonna do, I don't know if I'm gonna do it tomorrow evening, but I'll probably get into a little more probably, if I might talk about some law, or I'll go back to talking about some great opportunities. Once again, that stuff is already on the site, but I'll talk a little more about that because things are really ramping up, and I would love nothing more but to see each and every one of you in a position where you don't have to go take 12 hours. That's because it's only 12 hours in a day. All right, from 6 to 6, that's a day. All right, night is not considered day. Okay, so there's only 12 hours in a day, and it really bothers me that so many of you have to take at least 8 or 9 out of those hours, okay, to go give it to somebody else. All right, we definitely have to put ourselves in a position where we're able to take care of our own families and create our own fiat. Okay. No, I mean, within law, okay, it's acknowledged worldwide that Aboriginal, just like Abraham, right? Okay, from Abraham. Okay, so like I said, we don't have to get if you go look at the etymology once again, if you go look at the etymology of Aboriginal, okay, original inhabitant of a land, okay, so It is what it is. I mean, if we have to, you know, second guess everything that we do, we got at some point, we got to start moving forward. Maybe, you know, one day it will come to a point where we don't have to call ourselves any names. All right. I'm just a man. All right. Is the titles, that's what's causing all the problems. You know what I mean? So, you know, so he says it's not, that's madness, not understanding common law. I mean, yeah, I mean, common law is just basically, you know, common law is really just pretty much your own law, okay? Because the common man creates common law, all right? So if you have your family, okay, the laws in your house is common law, okay? That's how people governed themselves, all right? But common law still exists, okay, as supreme law in the land, okay? So just so you know that. So for me, it doesn't matter what the situation is. I always first introduce myself as a man. All right, I'll give you an example. All right, I rented a car, okay, and you know, in Brooklyn, this, you know, the speed limit is 25, okay, in the inner cities, right, or in the inner streets rather, and they have cameras all over the place. I'm talking about if you go like literally 26, okay, you get a ticket in the mail, okay, you get a ticket in the mail. So they sent me a ticket, you know, they didn't see how fast I was going. It was just, oh, well, you was in a school zone and you was doing more than 25. So you know, you send me an offer. Okay. You send me a summons, you say this and you say that. It's an offer. So I'm going to do a counter offer. And that's what I did. Okay. I did a counter offer. First things first, you know, I said, dear whomever, okay, and I introduced myself as I am man, you know, and I'm from the family of, okay, just like Jesus of Nazareth, okay, because I don't have a last name, okay, I have a family name, which is a surname, and surname, sir, comes first, okay, so sir is the title, okay, so therefore family comes first. So I don't have a last name, so I said that I am such and such from the family of, okay, and then I stated who I am, an American Aboriginal, aka American Indian, and then I stated my case, all right, and I sent it out, all right. But first, when they first sent it, okay, they had the name that my mom gave me in all capital letters, all right, but with a series of back and forth, okay, a series of back and forth. I send them something, they send me back something, I send them something, they send me back something, I send them something, they send me back something, and they just sent me back something about 3 days ago, okay? And instead of the capital letters, they have Mr. in upper and lower case. You see what I'm saying? Because they realize that this man knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He knows that he's a man. So let's address him the proper way. You see what I'm saying? So all these things that we have to learn. You see what I'm saying? We have to learn these things. And I'm willing to teach it. You know what I mean? But at some point we have to come together, okay, and start setting up shop. Okay? Definitely. All right? We have to set up shop. All right? So once again, thank you. And definitely I want to thank y'all for being on here, and enjoy the rest of your continuation. Go to the website, www.ipnan.org. A lot of information is on there. The more information that I get, I will bring it to you guys. I also have a series of comic books, okay, that literally tells a lot of stories. I'm talking about comic book that was published in the 1800s, okay, telling you about different things that happen in the Americas, around the world, and all that. So I'm going to start reading from some of those, and I probably have about almost 100, probably close to 100 of those comic books. All right, but I will definitely start uploading them. So I want to pack this website with information, because I mean, those comic books gave me so much more knowledge and insight, okay, as to what was going on. You feel me? I mean, I'm telling you, where they put the truth, it's just crazy, and people think it's fiction. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, man, listen, family, study to show yourself improve. I don't watch TV. I don't get distracted. That's all I do is study to renew my mind. That's how you build yourself. That's how you become free. Getting the knowledge and applying the knowledge. It is really that simple. All right. And y'all are absolutely welcome. Okay. I love y'all. We'll talk later.